Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kelly. If you are new here, welcome. So happy to have you guys here. In today's video, if you saw by the title, we're going through all of my makeup palettes. So I have a stack of makeup palettes over here, like so many of them, and I'm gonna be going through all of them. And I'm going to tell you which ones I like, which ones I don't like. I'm going to tell you how long I've had these palettes, which I've had them for a very long time, some of them, and I probably should throw them away. But I do keep some of them just for like sentimental reasons because I'm kind of sappy like that, and I'm kind of a hoarder when it comes to makeup. So anyway, if you guys want to see this kind of video, then go ahead and just keep on watching. So I guess we're gonna start out with the palettes that I don't like the most. The palettes that I have but I never ever use them. Never use them. So the first palette that I'm gonna say is gonna be, okay, this palette. If you guys have these palettes, like, please let me know. Like, if you have them or if you remember them, like, let me know. Let a girl know. So the first palette that I have that I never use is this one, the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette. Do you guys remember this palette? It came out like, oh my god, like 6 years ago. This is so gross. This is like, I'm telling you, you guys are gonna be like, ew, like, why do you still have these palettes? I don't use it for like obvious reasons because I've had it for so long. But like, I'm gonna try and cover the mirror. So this is the palette right here. And I don't think I ever really used it. I only use like the nude palette, the nude shades in here. I don't think I've ever used this blue a day in my life, to be honest, or this pink. I think I tried to use the yellow and it didn't work, or the gold, or whatever that shade is. But I only use like the nude shades, and it was just not very pretty. So this one, if you guys have this palette, I never use this, never ever. Urban Decay is great, but like this palette was just not it, sis. The next palette that I have, let's see. Okay, I'll talk about this one because I never ever have. I think I've touched it like once. And this is like a little baby Ulta Beauty like palette that I got in like one of those big, you know, you buy those like big mystery bags or whatever. And this came in it. And it's this like little 6-shade palette, and I never used it. Like I used like this little shade right here, and that was it. And I think I didn't like it at all. So that one, I don't even know the name of this palette, just the little baby Ulta palette. Really not good. Let's see, what other palettes don't I use? Okay, let's talk about these bad boys real quick. So Naked 2, do you guys remember this? This is like my first palette ever. I think it was my first palette ever. I literally only keep this palette just for sentimental reasons. It's way past expired. It's really disgusting. Like, I never use it ever because I'm not really supposed to. But do you guys remember this palette? Oh my god! Oops. Well, there goes the brush. But do you guys remember this palette? I used it so much. Look how much I like hit pan on all of these shades. Like, I used it so much when I was younger. Oh my god, back in the day. If you guys remember this palette, it's still a kicker. Like, I still would use this palette if it wasn't not like 7 years expired. So I need to go through my palettes. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm gonna go ahead and throw them away. I'm gonna do it. I need to, they're disgusting. I need to throw them away. The next palette is the, oh my god, you guys are gonna hate me. The Naked Smoky palette. Urban Decay, I'm sorry, I'm roasting Urban Decay right now. I just never, I'm sorry, Urban Decay. I have some really good Urban Decay palettes. I think I do anyway. I'm sorry. But the Naked Smoky palette, I think I've used this a few times. And it's pretty, but like I use like this purple shade right here, and that's literally about it. Other than that, I don't really use this palette at all. It's just, and this one's not expired. This one's like only like a year old, I think, but maybe 2. Maybe you're getting up there. But anyway, I never ever use this palette, so like, I don't know. I probably will keep it a little bit longer and try to use it, but like, I don't know if I'm going to or not. Let's talk about, let's talk about this bad boy, because this one right here has had so much controversy, and I've used this palette one time since I bought it, and I have used it once. Yep, the Subculture palette. I have used this palette one time, and I never touched it again. It's a beautiful palette, and I used it like the nude right here. I think I might have used it twice, but like, look at that. Like, I hardly used it at all. So it's just, I don't know. This one I'm gonna try and start using. It's just, it doesn't blend. It just doesn't blend for nothing. And to have a palette that doesn't blend is really, really hard. And especially since I'm not the best blender out there, like I kind of get lazy halfway through when I'm blending, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And then I just stop. Like this one, you have to spend hours blending, and then it's like patchy, and it's like, I don't know. But this cute palette is just not my cup of tea. Okay. What other palettes? I think that's really, oh, no. There's one more. Oh no, there's a few more. So this one is a Tarte palette. I don't know if you guys remember this palette. Oh, this one's old too. It's kind of old. I'm aging myself right now. I don't even know what it's called. It's like just the Amazonian clay, high performance neutrals, like that's all it is. And this is the palette right here. It's a good palette, like it's a really good palette, but I'm losing the light, I'm sorry. Oh no. It just doesn't have enough mattes for me. It has like a lot of shimmers and like not enough mattes, and the quality of this palette was not that great. I remember, and I love Tarte. Like I love Tarte. You'll see like I have Tarte all over the place over here. I love Tarte, but I did not like this palette. So I don't know if you guys know this palette, if you've had this palette. I loved it because it was purple, and purple's like my thing. And I bought it because it was like, purple. But yeah, not a great palette. So probably gonna toss that one as well. Let's see. Here I am shitting on Urban Decay again. You guys know this one. You know this palette, the Full Spectrum palette. Listen, I use it every once in a while. I really don't use it that often. I don't use a lot of color. Like oh my eyes. I don't use a lot of color. I'm using, like I have a green eyeshadow on today, but like that's about as crazy as I get. I don't use too much color. I want to try and explore that, but like I just don't, like it's beautiful, but the shades never like picked up enough. They just never were enough pigment. They weren't pigmented enough for me. But these blues right here, these purples, like I did use them. I tried to. They were just not pigmented enough for me. If they were just a little bit more pigmented, oh, I would have loved that palette, and I think I would have used it a lot more. No, that's pretty much it for the palettes that I didn't like. Yeah, let's go into palettes that I did like. but are just way past their turn. Okay, so this one, this one. You guys remember this when Nikki came out with this, Nikki Tutorials? So Nikki Tutorials did a collab with Too Faced, and this got a lot of drama about it. This was my first like influencer collab anything that I bought, and this is the Power of Makeup by Nikki Tutorials, and let me tell you, I used the crap out of this palette. And I'm not gonna go too much into the tea. If you know the tea about this palette, then you know the tea, but it was not the best palette. I loved it, but I hate Too Faced. I hate Too Faced, and I'm just gonna leave that palette just like that. I loved it. I loved it for Nikki. Loved it for Nikki. That's the only reason I liked that palette. All right, what other palettes do I have? Now, okay, this one. Now, I love all of these palettes. Like, all of these ones that I'm talking about now, I love them. Ooh, I'm stretching, sorry. I love all these palettes in their own different, like, little ways, and palettes that I've had for a long time, but I really love them. Like, this one right here is a Tarte palette, and I still dive into this palette. Like, I still go into this palette. It's probably old and expired, and I probably shouldn't use it, but I do anyway. This is what this is what made me fall in love with Tarte blushes, and this is their like what is it? Energy Noir clay palette, and it's gorgeous. Look how pretty. It's all purple, and like it's just so pretty. And that blush right here, oh, got me. It got me every time. That blush was so good. It's such a good palette. I still dive into that blush, absolutely. And that's what made me fall in love with Tarte blushes, is that one palette that I got, and it was an eyes and face palette. Oh, so good. Let me see. Okay, let's talk about a palette from Urban Decay that I actually did like. I liked this palette a lot, and it's the Urban Decay Naked Basics palette. This palette I actually really liked, and I use the crap out of this palette so much. Like, I use all these naturals and all these neutral colors. This shade right here, beautiful. But I used a lot of this palette. I loved this palette. It's probably not expired yet, but I love that palette. It's a little bit powdery and dusty for me, and I have so many neutral palettes. I just have so many neutral palettes that like I don't need to keep that one, but I don't know if I'm gonna keep it or not. I probably will keep it for a little bit longer. Let me see. Talk about this one. Okay, so this one is a Winky Lux palette. It is the kitten palette. It's so cute. Let's just take a look. Do you see all the little kittens on there? So cute. And this palette is really adorable. It's got like, see how pretty, like the shade, oh, so pretty. It's a really good palette. It's really cute. I got this in like a BoxyCharm, I think, back when I had BoxyCharm. So this palette was really cute. I did use this a lot, but like it just got kind of forgotten about with my other palettes. They have so many palettes, clearly. This one I also got in a BoxyCharm, and this is a Pure Soiree Diary. This palette I use the crap out of. I really did. I love this palette. I still use this palette. I still dive into this palette. It's so good. It's such a good neutrals palette, and I like how it was set up, where it was like 1, 2, 3, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom, 1, 2, 3, boom. Like it was like perfect. Like it had the lid shade, or like the transition shade, and then it had like the outer corner shade, and then the shimmer shade to go on the eyelid. So like this is like transition, this is the outer corner, and then this is the lid shade. It's so so pretty. I still love this palette. Still so good. Oh, this palette, I can just smell for ages. Okay, it's a great palette, but it's really hard to use. And it's this beautiful Tarte palette right here. It's the Make Believe in Yourself palette. Do you guys remember when this one came out? Yeah, this one. Oh, everybody wanted this palette. It was so pretty. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. It's just so aesthetically pleasing to look at. The packaging is so beautiful. It just gets you. And this palette is a beautiful palette. It's a very beautiful palette. So this is it right here. It's gorgeous. The only thing I don't like about it is that is the one and only matte shade. There's one matte shade, everything else is a shimmer. So like, the reality of me using this palette is not that often. I can only use it when I'm looking for a purple shimmer or a blue shimmer or a light green shimmer or, you know, a copper shimmer or like a rose gold shimmer. Anything like that. If I'm looking for a specific color shimmer that I want to put on my eyeshadow, like on my eyes, that's the only time I really use this palette. It's a good palette though. I really like it. I like the highlighter, and that was good too. In the center, but like it just, you know. While I'm talking about Tarte, I do love Tarte. I love Tarte. I love Tarte so much. But I have the Rainforest of the Sea Volume 2 palette. This one I got, I think, again in a BoxyCharm. It might have been, no, it's not Ipsy. But yeah, a BoxyCharm. I got this one in a BoxyCharm. And this one was hard for me to use. It's beautiful. It's all neutrals. So if you can kind of see. It's all neutrals palette. It's really pretty. But I don't know, it just didn't blend out the way I wanted it to. It was like too hard, pressed too hard. A gorgeous palette, and I still love it. And I still use it. So, and I got it for a BoxyCharm, so I got it for not free, but like basically free. So, super nice. Let's talk about this palette real quick. Now this palette I still use to this day. It depends on what kind of look I'm going for, but this is my first like professional like makeup artist palette, and at least that's what it kind of feels like. This is the, I don't even know if you can see it, it's the Smashbox Shape Matters Eyes palette, and it's just a palette of neutral eyeshadows, and I use the crap out of it. I don't know if you can even see the colors. Like I'm trying to like show you guys without getting the mirror in it. But it's very pretty. I used the crap out of this palette. I used the crap out of this brush that came with it. This brush was like 10 out of 10. It had like a really sharp angled side right here. If you can see that. Trying to focus in, but it's not working. So it was like that, and then it had a fluffy side right here, and it was really nice and really pretty. I still use this palette. It's like one of these palettes that I use for like, if I'm doing other people's makeup, I'll use this one because it's such a perfect neutrals palette. And yeah, I love that one to do other people's makeup. It makes me feel like I'm like a makeup artist. So that one is like my makeup artist palette. Let's see, what else do I have? We'll talk about this one. This one's a little old. It's getting a little old anyway. This is the Laura Lee Los Angeles Cat's Pajamas palette. It is such a cute palette. This is the first palette that Laura Lee released, and I bought it the day she released it. So I was a really big stan of hers. I'm still kind of a fan. I wouldn't say I'm a stan anymore. She's had a lot of drama surrounding her, but who doesn't? Like, I have 73 subscribers and I have a lot of drama surrounding me, so you know. But this palette is really cute. and I use the crap out of this palette. The only thing is I think the inside's a little loud. I don't like it to be that loud on the inside. I'd rather just not have it that loud, but this palette's really cute. It's got all these cute like purpley burgundy shades down here, which I use all the time. These neutral shades are really, really good. So this palette is an absolute yes. Like I still keep it, I still use it. I haven't used it in a minute, but that's just because, I don't know, I haven't been really into Laura Lee lately, but that's just the tea on that, sis. Let's see, what else do I have? Oh, this palette. This palette is a staple in everybody's makeup kit. If you do not have this palette, you need to get this palette or get the newer version of this palette. But this is the Morphe 35. Oh my God. The palette that every person has. Every makeup artist has this palette. Everybody has this palette. It is a staple of just warm tones. Oh my gosh. Look how beautiful this palette is. Can we just talk about this? Like, I love this palette. I still use it to this day. It's so good. I use it all the time. It's such a good palette. Oh, love it. So good. So good. Such a good palette. The Morphe 35O. So good. And this is the old version. They have like a new version of this palette now. So that one, such a good palette. If you don't have it, it's just highly suggested. Get the newer version, whatever the newer version is. It's like 3502 maybe, or something like that. But like, either way, super good. While we're talking about Morphe, I have two palettes to talk to you guys about. This is the 25A and the 25B. 25A and 25B palettes. I'll start with the 25A, which this poor palette has gone through a fall. It has gone through the fall of death. It was not me. I did not hit pan on all those pans. I wish I did hit pan on all those, but nope. It took a nasty fall. But this palette is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It has all these beautiful natural shades, neutral shades. It's a little bit more on the warmer side, whereas the other one, the 25B, is on the cooler side, which I am fine with both warm and cool shades. I have green eyes, so like I can wear both. I like both shades. They're both like warm and cool shades they both work the same for me, and I like them both equally. I like warm tones maybe a little bit more, but like I like them both equally. And this is the 25B. So pretty. I use this literally all the time. All the time. For neutral shades, that's my go-to. Let's see. Actually, the one palette that I'm going to talk about real quick. This palette is the palette that I use for nude. If I am using any palette, if I go and I'm like, oh my God, I need to maybe do a neutral look. I just need to put makeup on and I just need to put eyeshadow on and just put it on and be done. This palette is the palette I will grab. It's the palette I will use. It's the palette that I will just every single day if I'm at work. Like it's probably this palette that I'm wearing on my eyes, and it's and I'm not wearing it today, but like this is the palette that I'm always wearing, and it's the Tartelette Toasted palette. Oh, so good. Like I have used the crap out of this palette and I still use the crap out of this palette. It's so good. This one only came out a few years ago. I think it came out like 2 years ago, but I used the crap out of this palette and I, oh my gosh, I use it all the time, like every day. It's an everyday palette for me. It's a staple. So if you guys don't have that palette, I highly recommend that palette. It's so good, so good. In fact, I might go buy another one because it's so good. Like when that one expires, I might buy another one. All right, let's talk about, I kind of interrupted my Morphe palettes. I have a nose itch because I have all this eyeshadow flying everywhere. Oh my God. Oh, I forgot about this tiny little palette. Oh my gosh, let's talk about this one. This one I don't use that often. Oh my God, my nose itches so bad. Oh, I can't even stand it. Anyway, it's just so bad. This is the Blink BoxyCharm like Electric Eyes palette. This one I got in a BoxyCharm. It's so cute and I love it so much. Now this palette is all shimmers. It's all shimmers, but it's beautiful shimmers. It's beautiful, like shimmery shades like that. Gorgeous. And I actually don't mind that this palette is all shimmers because it's only 5 shadows. And I use it to like top off my eyeshadow. Like, it's so pretty. I love that palette. I still use that palette to this day. So that one was probably my favorite one that I got in a BoxyCharm, is this tiny little baby palette right here by Blink. Really good. The next palette that I have is the one, the only, the original, yep, Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette. The Jaclyn Hill palette. Everybody has this palette. If you don't have this palette, what are you doing with your life? You need this palette. You have to have it. It's so good. I use this palette all the time. I have hit pan on these palettes, like this one. Oh yes. I think the shade is Obsessed, is called Obsessed, and I'm obsessed with the shade. It's so pretty. I've used every single shade in this palette multiple times. I've used it so much. I've had this palette since it was released. This is the first original one. You could tell because it's the cardboard, the old cardboard, and it's like messy and dirty and stuff, but this palette, so good. I still use it all the time to this day, so yeah, so good. Still use it, still love it. The next palette that I have is I'm gonna go ahead and just talk about the rest of my Morphe palettes, I think, while I have them. And this is the Morphe Dare to Create palette, the 39A. Gorgeous palette right here. It's so pretty. It's really big. It's like bigger than my face. But this one is so pretty. I love this so much. It's kind of like, I'm gonna show you in a second, but this palette's so pretty. It's got all these like neutral shades and all these like beautiful colors. It's kind of muted, but it's like muted in a pretty way. The next palette that I have is the James Charles palette. Morphe James Charles palette. So this palette, and I have the original James Charles palette, not the mini. I don't understand the mini, to be honest with you, but this is the James Charles palette, and this is the Dare to Create palette, if you can see the difference. So, thumbnail. Anyway, this is not gonna be my thumbnail. I think I have more thumbnails that I'm gonna have, but a different thumbnail. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is they're two different palettes, but they're very similar in their own type of way. Like this one has, I think it's only because of the blues that they're similar, and the reds at the top, but the James Charles palette is the better one. I love the James Charles palette. It's gorgeous. Have I hit pan? No, I have not hit pan. I thought that was me hitting pan. I was like, oh my god, me already? No, but it's so good. I love this palette. I still use it to this day. This is the palette that I use for color. If I really want to do a colorful look, this is the palette that I use. I have this for all the colors down there. Between this one and my Dare to Create palette, I have all the colors that I need. This is the darker colors, and then these are the lighter colors. So I have all the colors that I need. And I love both of these palettes, and I still use them all the time to this day. The last Morphe palette that I have, before I go into my top favorite palettes, which are all by one person, one company, if you know. This is the Morphe Jeffree Star palette. Ba-ba-da-da! Morphe x Jeffree Star. This palette took me by surprise. It's such a good palette. This is the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today, actually. Like, this is the palette that I'm wearing. I'm wearing this shade, this shade, this shade, and this shade down here. These two. This one's on my lid. This one's on the bottom down here and on my lid as well as a base. And then these two are my transition shades. So Love this palette, so good. If you don't have this palette, I highly recommend this palette as well. It's so good. I love it so much. It's a really good palette. And I haven't dived too far deep into this palette, but I do use it a lot for like, it's got a lot of neutrals in it, and I use a lot of the neutrals in it. So there's those. All right. Now, if you know me, you should know the rest of my palettes. Without me even having to tell you, without, you know, me having to say anything, you should know what the rest of my palettes are. And you should just be like, oh, I know exactly who they're by, I know exactly how many she's got, and I know how, like, all of that. So the first palette, and once you hear this first palette, you're gonna be like, oh, duh. Beauty Killer palette from Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I love Jeffree Star. I love Jeffree so much. And I love everything about him. I think he's such a great person. And I think, you know, he makes mistakes, but everybody makes mistakes. So it's fine. But I love him so much. And I have his palettes right here. This is the Beauty Killer palette right here. A beautiful palette. I still use this palette to this day. I got this not super long ago, not like when it first came out, because I didn't think I followed him when he first released this palette. Maybe I did, but I just didn't have the money or something, I don't know. But anyway, this palette is so good. I still use it. I still use like this purple, this gold shade. I love it. I love this one a lot too. So this palette is a really good one, and I use this one all the time. The other one that I have is the Androgyny palette. I did not buy this one I bought this one, I think on a Black Friday sale. And this one's a really good palette as well. This is the more neutrally palette. And it's really good. I love this palette a lot. I use this all the time. I probably could use that green today, but I use the other green. But anyway, the purples and like the reds down here, and then these two shades up here. Oh, so good. I love this palette so much. So I use this palette all the time, and like these two shades right here, so good. So, Androgyny. The next palette that I have is the Blue Blood. What was I gonna say? Blue Blood? Blood Sugar palette. Which I think is backwards in the camera, but it's the Blood Sugar palette. And yes, I keep the bucks. It's so good. It's so pretty. Blood Sugar, so good. I use this palette all the time, like literally all the time. I use this palette for reds, for neutrals, for everything. It's so good. Trying to like not blind you with this mirror over here, but so good. Such a good palette. Let me scooch in so you can see my face a little bit. Isn't it so cute? It's such a good palette. I think people still are buying, like, he's still selling like hotcakes. Like, these are still selling so good because it's such a good palette. I use it all the time. I use it all the time. It's so good. So good. The next palette that I have, I'm gonna go ahead and talk about this one. I have the Mini Breaker palette. And this one is a really cute little baby purpley palette. I don't really use this one too much. I love this shade right here called Oral. I love this palette so much. I love that shade is so pretty. But it's so small and so cute, and it's got a lot of good things in it. So I really like this palette a lot. The little Mini Breaker. And then I have the Jawbreaker palette. So I have the full Jawbreaker palette as well, which is a gorgeous, like, this is also like a rainbow palette. It's so pretty. Sorry, the mirror is like right in my face. I'm just like, oh, hello. But this palette is really pretty. I'm trying not to ruin it. I think I just did. It's okay. try to make sure I don't ruin these palettes, but it's so pretty. Look how pretty it is. It's so pretty and vibrant and rainbow, and it's just, I love it. I love how pretty and vibrant it is, and the colors that you can use and pastels. It's so pretty, and you can just, like the looks that you can create with this palette are so amazing. And mix that with like the James Charles palette, like, so pretty. So the Jawbreaker, absolutely. That one I don't use all the time because, like I said, I am a neutral kind of girl. I'm very lame, but I do use it. The next palette that I have is the Shane Dawson Mini Controversy palette. This one, I love this palette. Now, they released the new one with the green shadow in the middle, and to be honest, I wish I would have bought that one. I really like that green shade. I'm gonna buy it as a single shadow whenever it comes out. I'm so excited for it. But this one is so pretty. I love the purples, the blues, the neutrals right here. I had a friend that bought this palette and she said that she hated it. I love it. It's works fine for me. It's not patchy or anything like that, but somebody that I know bought this palette and was like, I hate it, it's the worst, and I was like, that's sad, I'm so disappointed for you, like, I'm sorry. But I love this palette, and not because I'm biased, but just because, like, I just love it. It's a good palette. Let's see, in the last, I did not buy the Conspiracy palette. I couldn't get it. I tried so hard to buy the Conspiracy palette, but I could not buy it. So I'm really disappointed. I'll get it on the next restock, whenever that'll be, but like, the last palette that I have for you is the beautiful, just released Bloodlust palette. It's gorgeous, gorgeous. It's such a beautiful palette. It's all velvet on the outside. I've never, like, you saw all of my palettes. I've never seen a palette that's like this before. That's like a hexagon, and it's got like this velvet and like a gold like crest on it. I've never seen a palette like this. None of my palettes are like this. And then it's got this beautiful range right in here. Beautiful palette. I use this one quite often as well. I love purple. Purple looks really good with my green eyes. So yes, my eyes are green, by the way. They're not blue. They're surprise, surprise to everybody out there who thinks that I have blue eyes. Nope, they're green. They're most definitely green. I don't get offended, but like, they're definitely green. And my eyeliner's running because I'm crying because of sunlight. Anyway, this palette is so pretty. This is gonna be a very long video. I'm watching the timer, I'm so sorry. But yeah, that's all my palettes that I have. And I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I hope you guys enjoyed seeing what kind of palettes I have and all the old dirty ones that I have too, all the nice ones, the new ones, and the old dirty ones. So hope you guys saw a lot and you got to learn a lot, and I hope that helped you a little bit on which palettes you should buy. I love Jeffree Star Cosmetics. I think his palettes are amazing. I think the quality is just amazing in his palettes. Morphe, I really like Morphe's palettes too. I really like has some hit or misses with Tarte, but the Tarte Toasted, or yeah, the Toasted palette, Tarte the Toasted palette, so good. So any of the Tartelette palettes, I'd say good. Maybe not the other ones, maybe not the Rainforest of the Seas ones, but everything else is great. So I hope you guys learned a lot, and I love you guys so much. If you guys liked this video, go ahead and give this video a big thumbs up down below. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring the bell to be notified for every single upload. And I will see you guys on the next video. Love you. Bye.